Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and for the last 7 days, I've been driving the 2025 Genesis GV80 Coupe. Up front is a 3.5 liter twin turbo V6, as well as an e-supercharger, and down below is an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be making this video for 2 reasons. First of all, I have adored this vehicle for the last 7 days that I've been driving it. It is going to be very feature heavy, so watch out for that. But the second reason is that what better way to kick off 2025 than with a vehicle that I love. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that V6 twin turbo under the hood. It's really, really nice. It is a nice premium experience. With the e-supercharger, it makes 409 horsepower as opposed to the non-e-supercharger that makes 375. And even at its biggest engine option, it's not the fastest thing in the world. Now, like I said, it does have an e-supercharger. So what is that? Basically, it's a 48-volt mild hybrid system that helps out. It's not a very new idea in terms of the car world. Ram uses it in their trucks for the e-torque system, but it does add a little bit of power where it's needed. Like I said, paired to it is an 8-speed automatic transmission, and it functions well. Nothing really new or interesting there. And last but not least, it is all-wheel drive. How does it feel to drive the Genesis GV80 Coupe? It's a really, really nice experience. First of all, the cabin noise isn't as much as you would find in lower tier products like Hyundais and Kias, although it's not completely dead silent like some of its competitors. The suspension is adaptive, which has been very, very nice. So you chuck it into sport mode, you're on rails, you chuck it into comfort, and you're far removed from the asphalt. Visibility is fine for an SUV, no complaints or no praises there. And like I said, it's definitely powerful enough, but don't expect your socks to be blown off. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. And like I said, this is going to be pretty feature-filled, so stick with me here for a second. Well, in front of me is a completely digital gauge cluster, and don't mind the low tire warning. I got this car when it was 70 degrees, and it's currently 26 degrees. So the tires are fine, but it still throws that warning. I really, really like this display. It's clear, it's concise, it's easy to read, and it is adaptive. What I mean by that is when you put it into Sport Plus mode, the speed catches on fire. Absolutely love that. The standard speedometer needle looks like it's made out of wood. On the steering wheel, on the left, we do have our adaptive cruise control and steering assist. This has been very, very nice on the highway, and I will have my own standalone video, probably actually out already on the channel, of my full thoughts on that system. But off to the right, we have our favorite button, a programmable button, volume, and phone options. I also do love the Genesis badge in the center of the steering wheel. Really, really like that. And off to the left, we have some nice stitching, some nice materials, a vent, gauge dimmer switch, hill descent control, traction control off, our tailgate button, and power parking brake. And moving on to the door, we have our Bang & Olufsen speaker, actually 2 of them, 2 levels of memory seats, power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we get a huge infotainment display, and there's a lot to talk about in here. So we're gonna pull over, set up the tripod, and get into it. But if you would like to skip all of that, here's the timestamp if you're not really worried about the infotainment. All right, so here is our infotainment, and let's get the bad out of the way. There is no wireless Apple CarPlay. You have to still use a wire. $90,000 or nearly $90,000 and no wireless CarPlay. Now, I believe this is actually because of the licensing required to use Apple CarPlay, and they license it per size of screen. And Genesis, Kia, Hyundai, they just don't have the licensing for this big of a screen. So, unfortunately, no wireless Apple CarPlay, but the other stuff is pretty good. So you have your Apple CarPlay here, nothing too crazy. We do have our 3D setup, which has been very, very helpful. And I apologize that sort of star pattern you're seeing in the center of the screen, that's not there in real life. That's just a reaction with the camera. But we can sort of go around the vehicle, and if you want to see or do certain things, you can. You can turn on the lights and things like that. You have all your light settings. or we can go inside the vehicle. Does this little thing, and we could change the cluster, climate, things like that. Cluster theme selection. So very, very cool there. Then we come into the climate and we will find my favorite option, which is fragrance. So you can load 2 fragrances in the glove box at a time. I currently have My Favorite Place and The Great Outdoors, but it's these little cartridges that you put into the glove box, and actually I was given 3 of them. My Favorite Place, The Great Outdoors, and I forget the third at the moment, but I'm showing it here. Very, very cool. When the heat or AC is on, you do get a slight hint of it. It is not overpowering. It's not gonna hit you in the face like a black ice tree air freshener. It's just gonna add a little bit of that ambiance, and it really does help. It feels like you're in an expensive hotel, which is really, really cool. Going back here, we could scroll down. The only issue I've had, you really have to push in order to go to the next slide. Like, you really have to, you know what I mean? Like, you can't just like, you know? So, anyway, what I did want to talk about, however, is the mood curator. So we have 4 settings down here for the mood curator: vitality, delight, care, and comfort. And when you turn this on, I'll play comfort here in a second. It's my favorite one. It will turn on music. The mood lighting will change, and we'll talk about that in a second. The fragrance will come on, and the driver's seat will massage. So take a listen here. So that has been really, really cool, and I could stop it here. It is a 9-minute program, and it will turn on your massage seat and things like that. This has been really, really helpful, and it does calm you down. It creates an experience outside of the car without actually physically bringing you outside of the car. Really, really cool to see that. We can also come here to media. We do have these sounds of nature, which is fantastic. These are all of the sounds of nature we can turn on. Love to see that. We can adjust the seats from the screen, so I can adjust the passenger seat from the screen, but you could also do that with some buttons that we'll talk about later on when we talk about the seats. And of course, I can turn on my Ergo Motion massage seat if I would like. Coming back here, we do have quiet mode, which will limit the volume of the radio, and this was actually helpful because I took it on a small road trip, I'll talk about it later, and my girlfriend was asleep, so I was able to put it into quiet mode. She didn't wake up. She said she didn't even hear a single thing, which was very, very nice. We also do have things like Genesis Pay, which basically operates as a way to pay for parking garages. I guess they have to have a system that knows what Genesis Pay is. You register your credit card, and then when you go in or pay tolls, I don't know what it is specifically, but have a sensor on the car, and basically it'll be like, oh, cool, okay, we know you, and you could pay for garages without getting your wallet out, which is cool, but I don't find that very, very useful. We will put it into reverse to end the infotainment section. We do have a 360 camera as well as a rear view camera, but we can also swing it around here and take a look from nearly the outside of what the car is doing as you are backing up. So I'll back up here just a little bit to kind of give you an idea. I didn't find this mode very helpful, but I did find the top-down camera very, very helpful. So cool to see all of that tech in the Genesis GV80, but let's get on with the rest of the interior. Down below that, we have 2 climate control vents and the hazard switch with our climate controls. Now, the climate controls are a touch screen. However, I think that they actually work well, and they haven't been laggy, which can't be said about all other touchscreen climate controls. So it's nice to see that here in the GV80. We do have our heated seats, as well as when you turn on your heated seat, it will actually heat the armrest, and it will heat the armrest according to which side heated seat is turned on. So if you turn on the left side heated seat or driver's heated seat, it will heat up just the driver's armrest. So before I start my drive, I will scan the center console.
We're looking at 63, 58 degrees. So I did have this one on earlier, so it's probably still a little bit warm. But we'll say base level is 61 degrees. That's fair. All right, after about a 40-minute drive, we're looking at, aim it here, 124 degrees. That is crazy. So if you're curious about how much it warms up quite a bit.
However, if you'll notice, there's this little fragrance button, and you can actually change the intensity of the fragrance on the fly, which is really nice as well. We also have a hidden compartment down below with a 12-volt outlet and 2 USB-Cs, as well as a wireless outlet. And then we have our selector dial in the center for the infotainment. I don't think I touched this for the entire week that I had the car, since it was touchscreen. I just did that. This is really, really redundant. And we have the shifter. Now, okay, actually, I take that back. I did touch the scroll wheel twice because I thought it was the shifter out of the corner of my eye. Putting two nearly identical dials in the same spot is not super smart, and I did try to shift it into drive by using the infotainment, and all I did was select next track. So, little odd there, but this does light up. This is a crystal style shift knob, and so I'll show some shots at night here of what this interior looks like all lit up. Off to the right, we do have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test, and we are starting 2025 off with a pass for the big friggin' bottle test. Look at that. Down below that, we do have our drive mode select along with our camera button, parking sensors, auto start stop, and center differential lock. So we have a couple drive modes to select from Eco, Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, My Mode, and Snow. So really, really like to see that customization. Then we do get the center console. Nothing particularly interesting inside, but like I said, it is a heated center console. Very, very lovely to see that. And then the seats. The seats are heated, ventilated, power, memory, and just the driver's seat is massage. The passenger seat actually isn't, unfortunately. However, I can control the passenger seat from either the dials on the side, or when parked, I could use the screen to do so. The seats have been really comfortable. I did take this car on a road trip up to Port Washington, Wisconsin. Absolutely adore that little town and love the lighthouses there. And I'll show some clips of that really, really lovely drive. I really enjoyed it, and my back didn't hurt. The seats were fantastic. A little bit of massage here and there, and it was wonderful. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the Genesis GV80 Coupe, and a couple of things to note. First of all, I fit back here very handsomely, very nice. I have heated and ventilated seats back here. I want it to be clear that the $501,000 Rolls-Royce Spectre that I reviewed last year, and if you're like, oh, it's not a four-door, the $480,000 Rolls-Royce Ghost that I reviewed 2 years ago, neither of those Rolls-Royces had rear ventilated seats, but the $90,000 Genesis GV80 does. So, nice to see that. We also do get 2 USB-C outlets as well as a wall outlet that was very helpful for charging my RC cars this week. And the seats are power reclining. There's actually buttons over here on the left, and you can go pretty far back to get a lot more of a relaxed experience. Now, if I sat here behind the driver, I could move this seat all the way up and really, really stretch out. Let's see how far. There you go. Cut to the iPhone cam. That's a lot of rear seat room for the GV80. Very, very cool to see that. Let's hop into the very back and take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, which is a little bit lacking because this is the coupe, which just means sloping rear roofline. And then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the GV80, and one thing I really dislike is how high the trunk button is. I was searching down here for the longest time, but it's actually up here by the backup camera, and I can't imagine how many thumbprints and fingerprints that backup camera is gonna get because of people trying to hit the button. Now, once you do open it, nice and smooth opening, you do also have this privacy cover, which is very nice. Put it back like that, and you get this cargo net, which has been actually very helpful for items that are going to move around a lot. You don't have to worry about it. 12-volt outlet here, and we do have power folding mechanisms for the second row of seats. And you can come down here, open this up, and you do have your tire mobility kit. And that's pretty much it. No real extra storage found down there. But overall, that is the rear trunk space of the GV80 Coupe. Like I said, it has a more sloping roofline, which kind of becomes more apparent
over here. I think it looks good, but it does cut down on the usability just a little bit.
Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I actually really like the styling of this. It looks a little bit like wet cement, however, it has a tint of blue in it, and I really like that. I have to say, visually, it's been very appealing the entire week, and I love the light signatures. I like how the lights and flashers actually carry on to the side of the car. It makes the car feel more cohesive. It makes it feel like it's all one unit. And sometimes you don't find that unity in modern cars, so very nice to see that. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think, having driven the Genesis GV80 for the last 7 days? Well, it's been absolutely wonderful. I really like this car. I do enjoy the power, but mostly I enjoy the features and the fit and finish. This feels like a true luxury car, and sometimes in the luxury segment, that can't be said. Sure, you might pay the $90,000, but you don't always get a $90,000 experience, and I think that this is. I do feel like I would be getting my money's worth had I actually purchased this car, and that's a good feeling. Driving this car gave me a good feeling, and the best thing that this car was able to do was to relax me. To pull back the curtain a little bit, I had this car over Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving could be rather stressful. And so, on my way to and from my families, I would turn on the mood curator and be at ease. I would drive it, and the power was great. I could put my foot down and be gone, or I could put my foot down and just be seconds away from the turkey and stuffing. It has nice features, but all of the features kind of operate in the background. It doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't have to show you its whole hand. It just says, hey, take a load off. I got you from here. And that is a nice thing to experience. This car is great. It's wonderful. And I truly hope that you enjoyed going through it here with me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Genesis for loaning me their GV80 for the last 7 days. Huge thank you to Drive Shop for facilitating the cleaning and delivery of this vehicle. And of course, the Midwestern Automotive Media Association. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.